Hey everybody, welcome back to C&G Performance. Today we're taking this 5.9 Magnum and we're going to try to make it run without putting it in a car.
We picked this thing up for a couple $100 and we know nothing about it. Nothing can go wrong.
We'll see. But how do we do that?
Magic.
Magic.
Cue the music.
This might not be a safe place. Now that the holiday season is over, we're gearing up for a lot of projects this year. So please like and subscribe so that you can follow the chaos.
So we got our hands on a 94 model 5.9 Magnum with transmission. I'd been searching for one of these for a project for so long, and when I found this one, I had to jump on it. You always run into that gamble. You buy an engine that you know nothing about. Is it really good? Can it run? Are there things broken inside that the owner doesn't tell you about? You know, those ran when pulled situations. So we had to get the thing home. We had to get it on the floor. And before we even got started shooting this episode, we'd already made a couple of changes. The giant beer keg intake manifold for the EFI, that had to go. This is going in a classic car. It has to have a carburetor. So we strapped on Edelbrock's 7577 part number intake manifold specifically for the 5.9 or 5.2 Magnum that accepts a carburetor. We got rid of the old Hall Effect distributor, stabbed in a classic run-of-the-mill everyday Proform Mopar replacement distributor that works on every LA engine from 1966 and up. The first thing we wanted to find out was, does this thing run? Will it turn over? Is it any good, or did we waste our time?
But before we could even try to make it run, we had to replace the oil pan and change the oil.
Things happened. Just watch. Okay. I didn't see that coming.
Okay, so
While you were gone,
we got everything put back on the motor. As you can tell, we did eventually get the oil pan in, got the starter put back on.
we put old new plugs in it, or new old plugs. We primed the oil system to make sure we had good oil flow. We had to elevate the motor to get some drain back action going on. Yeah, we're only a few wires away and a few hoses away from hopefully making noise. So don't laugh too hard about my makeshift running console. I built this literally out of stuff I had laying around. Be gentle with your criticism. It's not perfect. One of these days when we're rich and famous, we'll actually get a real engine run stand, but today won't be that day. We've got main cables for ground and power. We've got a tach, we've got controls for fuel system and ignition. We can run stock Chrysler distributors, 2-terminal pigtail, like what we have here, or we can disconnect this right here and run an MSD distributor. We have that flexibility. So we've got everything. And if I had more fuel line, we could get a long, long way away from this thing, but we're kind of having to just deal with what we got. So, and of course, this is also a limiting factor. Our coil wire reach is a little lacking, but you know, we'll make do. We'll be all right.
So what we're trying to do today, because we're not trying to have this run long, we just want to make sure that the motor runs, that there's no issues, no leaks.
Yeah. Hence why there's no cooling system, there's no belts on the front of this thing. We literally just want it to crack off and make noise. For maybe 30, 45 seconds.
Yeah.
The reason that we had the oil pan off the motor, in case we didn't tell you already, was this came out of a truck, number one, and it's going into a passenger car. So obviously the sump on the oil pan has to be relocated because passenger cars and trucks have different sump locations. That was number one. Number two, unfortunately, when we were offloading this engine out of the back of a truck, the engine hoist right behind you, the supposedly, allegedly American-made engine hoist sitting right there, kind of was feeling a little woozy. As the truck that delivered it was pulling away, it kind of leaned over and unfortunately landed on my brother, and in the process, it caved in the bottom of the pan. We couldn't turn the engine over with a ratchet because the counterweights were hitting the pan rail. That was reason number two. So we killed 3 birds with 1 stone. We got the right pan on the motor for the application it's going in. We got rid of the dented oil pan, and we were able to make sure that the rotating assembly would actually rotate. And if you were watching the Chrysler episode a few months ago, you'll remember there was a segment I was talking about that terminal relocator. Well, we don't have that problem with the Chrysler small blocks, and you can see why. There's good ample room between those and the side of the block on a small block. You don't have that much real estate on a Chrysler big block with a mini starter, hence the terminal relocator. So rare moment in mechanic history right here, ladies and gentlemen. Notice that there's a complete metric wrench set laying at my toes and nothing's missing, which means the 10 millimeter. Okay.
My goodness, it's like it's your first time or something.
All right, so we have power connection at the starter. Now we need a ground connection somewhere. Okay. There we go. And we got a ground connection.
We have
We
positive.
got power connection at the starter. And all the power for the ignition system, the fuel pump is all, like internally, it's all tagged off of the starter relay that's up here in the console. So that's not a problem. And you'll notice this is I think this is an ATV battery. But we're gonna cross our tongues and hope that it's got enough testicular fortitude to turn over a small block Mopar Magnum. Turn the main power on, key on. Hey, it turns over. We did something right. Excellent. We are so close. Get this as far away from the, loud, hot, fiery things as we can. Fuel pump got quiet. That means it's pulling fuel from the can. Filter's filling up. It's filling the float bowls. That's a good sign. The real trick is the float bowl is really full. We have squirt. And key on. Fuel. Ignition. The battery might not be heavy enough to have the stones for this, but hey, it is rolling over, and I'm starting to get the impression that we might be 180 out on the distributor because it's puffing through the carburetor instead of out of the exhaust. Got the number 1 spark plug pulled so we can roll the motor over, find compression. Somebody who's going to remain nameless had found the wrong timing marker on the balancer, so yes, the distributor was in fact 180 degrees out. But now I think we got our back, and even if that battery is a little weak, maybe it'll have just enough muscle to crack this thing off. So we get fuel delivery, I think we do. It wants to, we just don't have the power for it. Man, if that battery had a little more muscle to it.
Were you gonna go get the thing from back there?
Yeah, I suppose I could. We're so close. Oh. This is a dumb idea and I love it.
I was gonna hoping to try to get a better angle.
Oh, that's a good angle because you'll catch all the stuff straight to your face. There's definitely things happening.
This might not be a safe place.
You're fine. Stop worrying. I love this console.
Yeah.
It makes chaos. Now it's coming back. Whatever was in here is coming back.
So tomorrow pull a battery from something and try again?
Yeah, we're gonna pull it out of.
We got plenty of options.
Sure.
I mean, it's just something we would pull real quick and then put right back. So we could pull it out of the Chrysler, out of the Ram Charger, because they're right here, out of your mom's van when it gets back.
Yes. Yes.
Just be like borrowing it, because we're gonna like let her have it back.
It's a rental.
It's a rental.
Gave it up for the console one time. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing you've ever seen, but it does work. But the good news is I have a tach signal, which tells me it's reading the magnetic pickup in the distributor, so we don't have enough batteryage.
No electricity.
Yes, electricity is the problem. Yeah. So I think we're going to call it a night. Maybe get something cold to drink. Yeah, we'll come back out when the sun's up and try again. After 180 out check 3 or 4, wherever we're at now. We should be back.
Do it again!
I know, I'm going to.
Oh, yeah. And I'll ask the price. Like I've never heard before.
Did it really sound decent?
Yeah? So we changed oil,
Yep, because we had to.
had new oil pan.
New oil pan means you change oil.
Yes, yes. But we did have to get a new oil pan.
Yeah, we set the ignition timing about 17 different times because there's 2 different timing marks and I can't read. Mm-hmm. We fought through a very weak ATV battery. And then we tried to put it on steroids with a battery charger, and that didn't work.
The thing.
The thing from the place.
Yeah, from over there.
From back there. We blew a cap off of a vacuum port fitting about a dozen times because it kept backfiring through the intake.
Yep, that was
because I couldn't get the timing set right.
That was interesting.
So it was
trying to find
it wasn't even
the things that kept being blown off.
And it wasn't even the 4th of July. Like, it was exciting. And then finally there was that magical moment once we finally had enough amperage. We had, all the stars lined up. We had fuel, we had spark, we had energy, we had rotation, and
it was beautiful.
It was great. My gosh.
Awesome.
For no mufflers, no real exhaust system, a haphazardly engineered run stand console, whatever. It was great.
Yeah, yeah.
It fired right up. It sounded awesome. Had oil pressure instantly. Yeah. It didn't make any noises that we weren't expecting. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, by all concedes, it's a win. That's a win.
My only question now is, so we know that it runs.
Yep.
What are we doing with it?
I got something up my sleeve.
This one? Yeah?
I'm thinking.
The orange car?
I'm thinking.
Huh.
It's been too long.
Will it fit?
Enough butter and enough hammers. You better believe it. But no, we're excited. This was the goal for that engine all along. I've had this car since I was 14 years old. You'll see more about it in a future episode. But for the meantime, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Let's do this.